to tip number 4 of your 4-part anxiety campaign, where we have examined first what anxiety actually is and how it might come up in your body and in your mind, and how it can impact you. We also talked about how our thoughts get away from us and can cause the anxiety to run rampant, and how we can manage those thoughts using the thought record. And then last week we discussed how mindfulness can help us to stop fighting the anxiety, but actually just let it be, and just stop the avoidance that comes along with the anxiety, which actually can exacerbate the condition. So this week I want to talk a little bit more about how anxiety is rooted in us, like where it comes from. And then we'll talk about ways to work within the context of allowing the anxiety to be connected, and understanding rather what the anxiety is connected to. And so Freud talked about something called signal anxiety. And this is the idea that anxiety is actually connected to emotions. And so where the fight or flight system has been created to sort of alert us to external danger or things that are going on the outside of us. But signal anxiety, or the idea of signal, creates an awareness of the emotions that are going on inside of us that we so often ignore or push down because we want to avoid them. And so what we are going to learn about today is how allowing those emotions to surface and examining them in a healthy manner, not perseverating on them, not worrying about them, but just acknowledging that they're there and kind of getting to know them, and becoming aware of their origin, and understanding how to just sit with the emotion, explore the emotion, can help you to become more connected in your life and in how you show up in that life. So there is a system, and it's called RAIN. And the idea of this metaphor is to help you be able to um, be with the emotion. Remember how we talked about just being with the anxiety last time? Well, now we're going to talk about just being with the emotions that may be underlying the anxiety that we sometimes ignore. So the metaphor RAIN, the R is to just recognize the feeling, sit with it. Notice how the sensation feels in your body, and acknowledge that there actually is an emotion there, be it sadness, anger, uh, guilt and shame. Are emotions, though they're fuzzy and not necessarily concrete emotions, they do show up in our lives as emotions, and they can be debilitating and keep us from moving forward in our lives. So then the A is to just allow it. And again, that's sitting with it, allowing it just to be, and not giving it a lot of attention in terms of what is this, and stressing over it, but just allowing it to be in your body and allowing it to come into your consciousness. Now the I in RAIN stands for the investigation, but not an analytical kind of investigation, but again, an investigation of what is this that I'm feeling? A kind of consideration. What is it that I'm feeling? What does this sensation feel like? Does it feel warm? Does it feel jittery? Like just being aware of what the feeling, how it's saturated in your body. And then N is for non-identification or natural awareness. And that's, again, just allowing the feeling to sit in the body, acknowledging that it's there, but not necessarily having to do anything about it. Just a natural awareness that I'm feeling something here. Not calling it anything, but just being aware of its presence. Now, this kind of RAIN investigation or RAIN acknowledgement of your emotions allows you to understand how they operate in your body. And it can help you to reduce the fear that you might have and the avoidance that can come from not acknowledging your feelings and not wanting to have them. Perhaps you've been told that anger is a negative emotion and that you shouldn't feel anger, that it's selfish, that it's mean. But anger is a natural emotion just like any other emotion that you experience. It has a purpose. So it's not the emotion that is the problem, it's how we respond to the emotion. So when you feel anger, it's okay to acknowledge it, to recognize it, and then figure how you will manage it. And not respond or react, rather, but how you'll respond to that anger. And in responding to the anger, then you take away its power. But if we react to the anger, then we absolutely give it power. The same goes with sadness. You can acknowledge the sadness and explore the sadness without allowing the sadness to become all-consuming and take over your emotional subset. Does that make sense? So we can again use mindfulness when we are exploring and recognizing emotions. So one way to do that is to close your eyes and then maybe think of an emotion. Perhaps let's choose sadness. And while your eyes are closed, examine that emotion. Think about something that actually makes you sad or something that you're sad about in the present. And then when you have a clear picture of that emotion, of that sadness, then feel how the sadness feels in your body. Often for me, I can feel sadness right in here, in my chest. It feels heavy and constricted. And so check in with yourself to see how that sadness may feel for you. And as you acknowledge the sadness, consider its origin. And examine and explore where that sadness is coming from. All the while that you're doing this, also acknowledge that the sadness is not the only emotion that you have, that the sadness is a natural emotion. And give yourself permission to actually feel it. Avoidance causes stress. If you have to avoid certain streets on your way to work, then the stress is coming from, what ways will I go? How will I figure out a route to get where I need to go? That brings about stress. So the same is with it happens when you try to avoid the natural feelings that you have, that you feel. So I hope that this helps. In addition, there will be, right below, there's a worksheet that helps you with mindfulness and emotions. And so be sure to read the commentary below to understand how to use the worksheet. And try it this week. And I'd love to hear from you to know how it worked for you. And actually, how this series has worked for you. So please go ahead and feel free to email me at info@livinglovedhealing.org, or you can send me a message via my website, which is livinglovedhealing.org. It's been wonderful connecting with you over these last 4 weeks, and I look forward to further communication with you. Be on the lookout because I am available for coaching, as well as I'll be doing a webinar in the coming weeks. So you'll hear from me again about signing up to go even deeper as we explore how anxiety shows up in our bodies and ways that we cannot let the anxiety take us over. So thank you once again. This is Shawn LeRae, and you already know I encourage you to live loved. Bye now.